Welcome to Garden of Lights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about apples and one of my favorite fruits again. And then we're also going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to talk about fall gardening. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden of Lights. Welcome to Garden of Lights. Today we're going to be talking about apples, and it's one of my favorite fruits. And I will tell you, it's apple time this time of year. You think about October, November, you think about all the different seasons we have, and you think about all the different holidays that are coming up. And so why not incorporate some apples in whatever you're doing for the season? So today we're going to talk about apples, and I know I have a pretty big size apple. And the recipe we'll talk about is a medium size, but I'm still going to use this apple because I will tell you, if I don't use all of it, I'm going to eat part of it. So apples are great to have in your homes. You can wash them, pick them up, and eat them. And it's talking about, as far as our nutrition goes, they're so good because they're no cholesterol, saturated free, fat free, and then we don't have to worry about that part of it, which is also good. And a medium, this is a large, to me, considered a large one, but a medium is like 80 calories. So it's still not a lot of calories in an apple. You're going to get great fiber from this apple and vitamin C just from eating an apple. So if you're looking for ways to get fiber, and I will say, keep the skin on to get even the better fiber out of that apple. And then if you're going to select those apples, you know, if you have an apple tree, that's even better. Now, you do have to take care of them and spray them. But if you're going to buy apples in the grocery store, this is a time to buy them, and this is when they're going to be on sale. But you got to know what you're going to do with them if you're going to buy them, because they will go bad eventually. So when you're looking at the grocery store, you want to look at nice, shiny apples that are firm when you pick them up. And you're looking for any kind of bruises, because you don't want to buy a bag of apples and they have bruises on them. So you want to make sure you're looking at the apple and looking at the bag too. And then the bag should have some vents in it, little holes in it, because you want some air in those apples too. So when you're buying that apple, look for all those, and then make sure, if you're buying that bag, make sure you can get rid of it, because storage, you want it in a cool, dry place. And if you want to leave it out, which is fine, you also can put it in your refrigerator and put it in the humidifier part of it, because you want to keep them as crisp and stay as long as possible in that refrigerator. So as you can see, apples are a great little fruit that I say keep in on those baskets on the counter. So when you get hungry, you need to curb your appetite before you eat something before a meal starts, this is the way to go. Eat an apple. When we come back, we're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent. He's going to talk about gardening, and he's going to tell you one of the most important things is to get that soil test in so we can tell you what you really need in that garden. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden of Lights.
Okay, today we're up here in the community garden, and we're going to talk a little bit about fall gardening. We're in the process of preparing these beds to get our fall garden planted. In the fall, you can plant most anything you want to if you calculate how far away the first killing freeze is. You know, your greens and all that, they'll make it through the winter and they'll pop back out in the spring, but you can harvest some of them in the fall. And so what you do to calculate when you want to plant various things, you take your vegetable gardening calendar from the University of Georgia. You go in here and you pick out which plants are good to plant in the fall, and this tells you how many days it takes them to mature. So in the fall, the days start getting shorter. We get a little bit less sunlight, So what we're going to do is we're going to go out to about November the 17th, which is our average killing frost in this area. That doesn't mean it won't happen sooner or later, but November the 17th for planting purposes. Then I'll take how many days it takes what I'm going to plant to mature, and I want it to mature so that I can harvest it. I can harvest it before the killing frost. And I'm going to add about 2 weeks to it for our shorter days and our less sunshine. So I take how long it takes it to mature, add 2 weeks to it, and back up from November the 17th. In some cases, that's going to put me in the middle of August. In some cases, it's going to put me around the 1st of September. But that's what I'll go by to get the plants planted. So beyond that, the other thing we need to do for our fall garden is do some soil samples. And I've been through this garden in several beds. I haven't tested the one we're standing in here yet, but I've got soil tests on all these beds. And what I'm finding, for the most part, like the one I'm looking at right here, is the pH is 7.2. Well, that's higher than I want it to be. That's one thing with the gardeners, to convince them to go by the soil test and not just keep throwing a handful of lime in there every time they plant something, and the pH runs up. So the bed I took this off of doesn't need to have any lime. But pretty much uniformly, I'm finding these beds to be low in potassium. So 15015 is what the recommendation is. That can be a little bit hard to find, but we found some down here on Keys Ferry Road at the Animal House. They stock it. But 15015, it's got some nitrogen in it. It's got no phosphorus. Phosphorus is high in these beds, and so is calcium, because they've been throwing a little bit too much lime in here. But so we got to bring our potassium up. So these recommendations are 15015. So what I did is I took the recommendation, I took my outline of these beds, and I calculated the size of each one of these beds, and took the recommendation and applied it to the square feet that's in the particular bed, and then I came up with a number of how much 15015 we need to add. And in one particular case, I had one bed that the pH was low, and it's going to require about 23 pounds of lime and 4 pounds of 15015 to get it up to the recommendation. So I do all that based on my soil test, not based on anything else. And so I try to get the bed in the right range for what I'm trying to grow. I'm not going to do anything to try to lower the pH right now, other than to convince the gardeners to stop putting lime in the beds and let's get the pH under control. This was the worst one. Some of them were like there's 6.3, that's not too bad. And I had some, that one's 6.9, that's a little high. 6.2, one of them was 6.0. So we're basing our fertilizer amounts that we're putting in this bed off of our soil test. I haven't tested this bed we're standing in here. I've already taken a few scoops out of the back, but in a bed like this, you go around about 10 different places and dig down about 6 inches deep. And I've got a little trowel here, so I'm gonna just continue to pull out some little plugs of dirt here, and I'm gonna put them in the bucket so that I can mix them all up, and we will have a representative sample of what this garden looks like. Now I could also use my soil probe, but everybody doesn't have a soil probe, so I'd recommend we use a trowel. But the soil probe, it will go in and we'll get a plug from, I want to go down about 6 inches in the garden to get my sample. And that's kind of how we would do it. We're using the soil probe. Then I'm going to take this dirt that I've pulled out of this garden, and I'm going to kind of mix it all together because I'm looking for a representative sample. I'm not going to the best place and the worst place. I want an average of what this looks like. And then I'm going to take a soil sample bag, and I'm going to write on it to start with. Fill out the information. It's easier to write on before it has dirt in it. And then I'm gonna get my dirt, and I'm gonna put it in the bag, and I'm gonna bring it up to the line that's on the bag. I don't need it full, and I sure don't need it empty. If you're kind of stingy with your dirt, I may have to send you back home to get me some more dirt. So be sure you fill it up to the line. And now that sample's ready to send in. Takes about 2 weeks to get the sample back. It costs $8, and now I won't be guessing when I get ready to put some fertilizer or some lime in this bed. I'll be doing what the soil's telling me to do. So that's generally what we got to do in the fall. We're cleaning up the beds, we're getting the weeds out of them. I got one over here we haven't started on yet, and it's got plenty of weeds in it. So everything is not just perfect. We gotta do a little weed pulling, and that's the gardeners do a pretty good job. Most of our beds are in pretty good shape here, but we got a couple that need a little help getting some weeds out of them. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. You can get one of these gardening in Georgia, vegetable gardening in Georgia, that's got the calendar in it. Get them from our office here. I recommend you do that, and I recommend you get a soil sample so we know what it is we're trying to do when we start fertilizing. And I think we'll go back inside now and see what Susan's got going on.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. I hope you learned a lot about gardening, and I know Frank knows a lot about gardening, so come see us sometimes if you have any garden questions. Today we're going to be talking about apples and making a really good recipe with apples, and we're going to be using some chicken and some curry and some mayonnaise and some celery, and these are cranberries or dried cranberries, so this is all going to go together. And the salad is a chicken curry apple salad. Now, as I talked earlier, this is a large apple. It's not a medium apple, and that's what the recipe is going to ask for. So I'm going to use just a little bit of this apple, and I will tell you, I'm going to eat the rest of the apple later. And if you're going to do that, you probably want to make sure you put the apple with some like lemon juice or something. And you can see, I told you earlier to get an apple that is firm, and this apple is firm. I can tell you that for sure. And so I'm going to use about half of this apple. And actually I cut it pretty good, so the seeds are on one side of it. I'm just going to make sure I don't have any other seeds in it. And I'm going to get the little end right there. And I'm going to cut this apple up too, kind of on the small side, because when I eat chicken salad of any kind, I like the fruit, if it's in it, and it is a small bite size. So that's what I'm going to do with this apple. So I'm going to take half of it. I'm just going to cut it down. And another way to make sure your apples are fresh and they smell good is just to smell them, to smell what they smell like. And if they smell really good, that's what you're looking for. I'm going to move this one over to the side for right now. I'm going to keep cutting this one at an angle. And it's so, as you could hear this, it's so crispy sounding. So I'm going to kind of cut it really small on the small side. And when I get to where I feel like it's a little on the large size, I may even take it and do one more down and then cut it into where it's small chunks. Because I just like to eat it where it's small. So I'm looking for small chunks. Now you can cut bigger ones if you like. And so when I say smaller, if you look at this apple part, that's pretty large, and that'll be long too if I cut it. So what I'm going to do is take this part, and I'm going to cut that part in half, that half, so I'm going to half another half to it. And then I'm going to cut it up. And that just makes it a nice size apple for you to eat on. Now, I will say that a lot of people don't want to eat the skins of the apple, but they are the best for us if we can eat it, because you're going to get all that good fiber from it. And I know a lot of people just won't pick an apple up and eat it as is. Some people want to chop it up and they'll eat it that way or make it into slices. So however you need to do it, that's perfect, because I will tell you it's important for you to eat apples. And so however it makes you want to eat that apple, do it. I'll cut a little bit more up. And this recipe is going to ask for about 3/4 cups of apple. And if you can see right now, as you start chopping up your apple, it's going to multiply pretty fast as the chops get in there and the little pieces get in there. I've got just a little bit more to go. I'm going to cut this in half also. And so we'll just about have our apple ready to go. And that's going to be about 3/4 or a cup. So, you know, and if you want to put more apple, please put more apples on it, because it'll make it even crunchier and tastier. And you want to use an apple too that's really good for salad. So when you're looking at your apples and you're looking at, this is a Honeycrisp salad, apple I mean, so just look at apples, because that's going to be your ideal apple for a salad. Some are going to be better just for eating, but there's a lot of good ones out there for salad, so look for that part. So let's put this all together. Move this over just for a second. So what the recipe is going to tell you is you're going to have a teaspoon of curry. And so the recipe is going to say that you have a little bit of water, which is a couple of teaspoons of water. And I'm going to go ahead and mix the curry into the water. And I'm just going to use my whisk just to kind of whisk it around, because I'm going to take this, actually, this is just kind of going to release some of that curry, and then I'm going to dump that into my mayonnaise. And this is light mayonnaise. And you could also use a fat-free mayonnaise if you wanted to. So just keep that in mind too when you're mixing it all together. So I'm going to mix this with a whisk. So I'm just going to mix this around and get this all into the mayonnaise. And it's going to get a great flavor to the chicken and the salad. And if you mix it in with your mayonnaise now ahead of time, it's going to be even better, because it's already mixed together when you put it into that salad. So I've got that pretty much done. I'm going to kind of get all that off there, because I do want most of that in my salad. Okay. All right, so the chicken, this is grilled chicken. You can put any season on it you want. So just whatever you like to season your chicken up, please do. This is about 2 medium chicken breasts. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into my big bowl. And this is going to be our celery. That's going to give even some more crunch to that salad. And then I've got about 3 tablespoons of dried cranberries, and I'm just going to dump those in. And I'm going to go ahead and put my apple in. So I'm going to grab it up. And if you can see, it's going to make a pretty good bit of a salad. And if you can take it and chill it even longer, it's going to taste, the taste of that curry is going to taste even better as you go through the refrigerator for just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this into the salad. And you're not going to have, you know, this is not a whole lot of mayonnaise, because you don't really want it just full of mayonnaise. You just want it to coat it, and that's all I'm going to do. But I do want to make sure I get all of it out, because it does give it a great taste. Set this here. So you're just going to mix this together, and it just smells so good. If you could smell it right now, you would say, oh my goodness, I really want a taste of that. And it's just mixing up so nicely. And you just want to kind of give it you know, stir it up to where it kind of combines. That's all you want to do to it. Got a piece of celery trying to come off the edge. And to me, when you have your chicken and your apple smaller, it just mixes a lot nicer. And also, if you don't like cranberry, You can also substitute raisins. So there's another way to do a little twist to the salad. So that is pretty much the salad, and it smells so good. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of that curry look to it. So when we come back, Frank and I will be tasting this chicken curry apple salad. We'll see you back in just a little bit. Welcome back to Garden of Lights. Frank, we have a really good salad.
All right.
With apples. So it's chicken curry apple salad.
I'm ready.
All right.
I like apples.
I do
As
too.
a matter of fact, I ate an apple just a little while ago.
I know. I really try to put an apple in my diet pretty regularly. So I'm excited about this salad too. Let me get you a little bit more. I'm looking forward to tasting it too. It smells so good. And the apple is very crisp. You can tell it's, that is good.
It is good.
Really tasty.
That could just be for supper.
I know it. The apple and the chicken together just kind of goes really well together. Whoops, I just dropped mine.
Maybe we should open a restaurant.
One day.
Just serve salad.
That would be good.
We can grow it in the garden.
Mm-hmm. That is so good.
It really is good.
The apple's really good. Really crispy and sweet too with the chicken. And the curry's not, you don't really taste, you have a little bit of that spice, but not overpowering
It's just right. Spice is just right.
It is. That is really good. Check out the website. You're going to really like this recipe. Especially this time of year with apples coming in, good prices. Nutrition is first too, and I always talk about this. So we'll see you back next time, Frank and I, on Garden of Lights.
And don't forget what they always say.